Thinking big when sports meets eSports and video game betting. What can the rapidly evolving eSports gaming sector learn from the established sportsbook sector? Let's delve into the crossovers. Moderated by Robert Montgomery, First Maximilian Associates, Thanos Marinos, Campion Gaming Partners, Flavien Guillocheau, Pandascore, Aideen, Shortt, Random Consulting, Quinton Martin, Luckbox.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Friday afternoon, and this, what I hope is a really interesting panel. We've got some really great opinions here to put forth, and it's super exciting to be part of the growth of eSports in the gaming industry. I'm Robert Montgomery. I'm actually chairman of GameCo, which is a video game casino company based in Las Vegas, and we also are involved in the eSports space and bringing eSports product to market. And it's super exciting to come here to Europe to learn what people are doing here and to really be part of this really exciting growth sector. And we've got an amazing trio of speakers here to enlighten us all on what's going on. And in order to set the stage for this, I'd like all of our speakers to tell us who they are, what their company is, and then we'll proceed with, I hope, what is a lively discussion. Let's start with you, Thanos.
Sure. Thanos Marinos. I'm the co-founder of EnterG gaming platform. Actually, I've been in the business from 2001, and it's actually B2C and B2B level. Did a lot of markets when it comes to sportsbook, from Africa to Russia to Asia, even US very lately. And of course, we always keep on guard about new products and anything that has to do with new developments when it comes to the full suite platform that we offer in a number of markets. So of course, eSports is one of them.
Flavien, the CEO of Pandascore. Company started 5 years ago. Our core focus is eSports, data and odds. We've been providing statistics to many type of businesses, from professional teams, media company, TVs, and betting. And we decided to build a betting product, and our specificity is that we collect statistics and we transform them ourselves into odds. And we're really good specifically at in-play betting, where it's really the key for us on our product.
Cool. Thanks, Robert. I'm Quinton Martin, COO at Luckbox. We're an esports betting platform, a B2C operator. I started life as a pro gamer myself, did almost a decade stint at the Stars Group, and now it's just a natural fit to try and take that fusion of betting on esports and make it a real thing. So we've been live for about 6 months around the world now with our Isle of Man license.
Awesome. So let's kick things off. So Quentin, tell us, what's your perspective? We have established sportsbook businesses all over the place. We've learned a lot of lessons from those businesses, and now we have this amazing new medium. I mean, the esports business itself is $1 billion. The esports handle is $12 billion, emanating from which is $1 billion. So the betting side is the same size as the business. However, how do we take that into legitimacy, and what have we learned? What is the crossover between the sportsbook business as we know it and an esports betting operation?
Well, for me, it's the opportunity. I mean, right now, most of the big books are seeing it somewhere between its 5th and 3rd biggest sport, Bet365, Pinnacles, Betway, etc. So it's inevitable whether it's going to grow. I'll take a bet with anybody in this room that esports will become bigger than traditional sports in my lifetime. But the revenue's not there. It's there in the esports world, where there isn't much revenue in general, but it's not yet seeing full potential within the sports betting side of things. So I think some of the challenges that traditional sportsbooks face is they can turn on just the odds and then it fits into their existing offering. They can't market, they don't have the streams, they don't have the statistics, they don't have the esports content and narrative, Twitter feeds, they don't target the customer very well. And that's where the endemic sportsbooks can have their kind of piece, our day in the sun going forward. And we're going to start seeing a lot of that revenue that's currently sitting in Bet365, Pinnacle, etc. That's going to stay there. That makes up about 80% of the market right now. And the endemics, with the 20%, is going to see the majority of the growth going forward, as they're the ones that can actually acquire and retain those esports bettors, the gamer generations, the Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, that, well, most people at this conference are struggling to acquire.
Any comments from
Yes,
Either of you?
actually, it's a very good point because I think this is exactly what is lacking in the industry now. You have the likes, even the big companies, successful companies overall, they really don't know how to market this new product. They never reached out to the players and asked them how they would like to have this product offering inside their mobile version, inside their online version. So they're trying actually to attract esports users, and the esports user, as soon as he lands into a page that is a typical sports betting page, he says, oh, shoot, this is not for me. I don't like this approach, I don't like this offering. They need to reach back to the end client, to the user, and from there, prepare a product that is going to appeal to them.
It's all about the user experience for esports fan, which is very different than what you could expect from sports people, like the interactivity, the live components. I mean, esports fans have been used to very high engagement games where they have a lot of things to do, a lot of very fast-paced actions. So if you're trying to target them with a product experience, you have to appeal to them and answer those needs around interactivity and live.
So what's the product going to look like? What's the specter for in-game betting? What's the specter for having something that's really going to engage people profoundly?
I think it's really about in-play. It's really about authentic markets. For example, when we were thinking about sports betting like 10, 15 years ago, it was all about pre-match and live was just kind of starting. And then esports is at the same spot right now. Esports, there is mostly pre-match and there is very little in-play. With in-play, you will bring things that really appeal to esports fans. For example, we're talking about towers, kills markets, stuff like this. These are very game-specific and not just general. Like I see too often on bookmakers to having some map handicaps, stuff like that doesn't speak to esports fan. Whereas if you're having like very specific markets that are in-game, this is what will work for them. And also having the content around it, the statistics that enrich the experience, this is really the key to have and to speak to the right people, the esports fans.
Yeah. So where are we in the stage of product development from what you can see and from what you have on offer? Because, for example, I've watched very closely and am involved in the repeal of PASPA in the United States and watched the sportsbook offers be brought to market, and there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of great signs and a lot of early exciting things in a sort of new market. But then when we take a new product like esports and go into established sportsbook markets, what stage of product development are we at the current time, and what has to happen to develop it?
We're pretty early. So the traditional sports books, most of them, they just turn the odds on. That's all they had. I mean, Betway's done a bit of development in that direction, but you really have to look at Unicorn, Luckbox, GGBet to actually see what you're doing. So for example, at Luckbox, it's just the step in the right direction. We've got 100% stream. So every single live match, we have the stream watching in play with the Twitch chat, whatever it is. But this is just the beginning. Like esports, every trend you see in traditional sports betting is accentuated in esports. The trend of moving to in-play, moving to mobile, being faster, minute markets, hypercut markets, because the audience they're trained to be more now, more immediate. They pay attention to the developments, technological development. So all the struggles that you're seeing in traditional sportsbooks where they're trying to move in this direction, because that's where their customers are developing, is accentuated in esports. So we have to solve that sooner rather than later.
Integrity. So this is a big issue that people talk about with respect to all sports. There's been a lot of debate and a lot of questions and a lot of concerns about integrity in esports betting and integrity in the very product as well. Give us your perspective on integrity and on where esports fits in the sports betting spectrum in terms of the ability to have integrity in the product.
Please go ahead, please.
There is the Esports Integrity Commission that is doing a great work to gather up all the bookmakers and the right holders and everyone involved in this. And they are not seeing a bigger match fixing activity, for example, than they're seeing in traditional sports. So the problem is here, definitely. The problem is not bigger than its traditional sports. It needs to be addressed.
It's not bigger. So the specter for match fixing and other things is not bigger. Just across the board?
Not specifically.
Because one of the things we want to talk about is by game and by realm.
When you're looking at all the tournaments that exist, there is much more activity in very small tournaments where the cash price is very low. And the good thing is very easy to identify them. When you have a cash price of 1,000 euros, you know that this is dangerous. So this is not the kind of event you want to offer to your customers. But if you're looking at bigger tournaments, there is not more concern that you will have on any other sports. And also another thing is like cheating, or it's much more difficult to cheat in esports because the environment is controlled. It's a computer. Usually it's provided by the tournament organizers themselves. So it's not like you have your own bike and you can just put something in it and it's much harder to control. The environment is more controlled. So that helps in this direction.
Yeah. Also, integrity comes together also with the volume that you see coming in each one of these bets. That means if you speak to any sports betting director or any arbitrage player or a professional punter, he's going to tell you that the only way that you're going to beat integrity, if you like, is only on the high volume games. That means if there is a tournament that is going to attract 100,000 euros of bets, there is no reason for anyone to go and mess around. But if you reach these numbers to be like a Champions League game that is going to be 20 million of turnover, then you're going to have problems. And there, from my understanding, the esports industry needs to self-regulate themselves in a way. That means the same things happen in the betting market in 1999, the first introduction about betting. Italy was a mess. You couldn't bet second league division in Italy for sure. There was no legit bet. So these things have gone. The same is going to happen at esports, and I think it has to do, of course, with the regulatory body, but I think the operators will do what they have to do in order to monitor and act accordingly in cases of integrity. Okay,
and what about the responsible gaming side of things in order to, in parallel to be able to, the esports is often perceived to be aimed at people who are minors, even though we know that the average esports player is actually much older. But nonetheless, that concern sits there. What should or is the industry doing to ensure responsible gaming is not a concern to growth?
So I think it works exactly the same way as with the rest of sports betting. I mean, so yes, you've got those paradigms you need to address, right? That the average bettor is 32 years old, 80% of them are older than esports enthusiasts are older than 18. Same with the majority of the players. So that's just going to be a perception shift over time. But you've got legislation like, is it Sweden that says you can't offer betting on 51% unless 51% are 18 or older? So regulations like that, which are probably going to start cascading through some of the larger licenses, will move over and be directly applicable to esports. So, and I think it's up to the operators possibly to be a little bit clearer with the, hey, 18 plus check, and the obvious stuff, and make sure they're doing their KYC on registration and whatnot. But I don't think it is in any way different from the rest of sports betting.
And how big a business, let's put some data and some brackets around the size of the opportunity, because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering and looking from afar at the industry and going, how does that work? How big an opportunity is it? Should I go into it or should I not? Should I wait? What data are you citing in your individual, you've raised money for Pandascore from venture capital. I know, Quentin, you're in market, creating an exciting story and raising capital for your business. I'm sure you're in the same game. What are the data points that get investors and you as entrepreneurs excited about the opportunity in terms of the scope for growth?
Well, you use one of my opening pitch, which was the entire esports industry, all the merchandising ticket sales is $1 billion, and then esports betting is already $1 billion a year. So that'll be my first one. My second is that...
So taking that $1 billion and making it legit.
It's already legit. It's just that it's growing at 60% a year.
Right.
20. Can't remember my statistic now.
Esports market?
Esports is growing at 25%. Esports betting is growing at about 40, which is about 60% faster. There we go. Thank you. My favorite stat, though, is probably that 18 to 25-year-olds not play, but watch more computer games than traditional sports. I think this is that idea, because it's generational. Like, I don't know, we're all over 30 on the stage here. We're already, more or less, Jesus. But I was a pro gamer for 8 years, and I'm already out of touch with the audience that we're actually trying to market to. So it's just because there's that generational shift, it seems crazy that more people would watch computer games than traditional sports, but it's endemic, it's happening, it's inevitable almost. Last year, the League of Legends World Championships had twice as many viewers as the Super Bowl. This year, League of Legends World Championships viewership doubled. Like, the fact that if anyone doubts that esports is real, that esports is massive, that it's going to be the biggest thing since sliced bread, they're just idiots. They just haven't read their data if they're not aware of that. That it hasn't translated yet into money, like the LTVs are not there yet. People aren't showing how to acquire and retain, so there are challenges in the esports betting market, but esports is here to stay.
Hence my question. I think that's what's really important. So, you know, we owned an esports agency in New York. We dealt with a lot of marketers and mainstream brands with respect to their plans for, you know, taking advantage of that audience. But I think what we're trying to do is funnel that down. How big an opportunity is it from a revenue perspective, and how do you shape that up? Because I'm sure everybody here, especially if you're not in esports, you're hearing, oh, it's huge, it's going to be huge, it is huge, etc. Are there any metrics you can provide that will help us size this?
As an odds provider, we discuss with a lot of bookmakers, and on the discussion we have, it's always pretty much the same pattern. Usually the esports will be top 10, top 7 like a year ago, and then it just reached the top 5. And they're very surprised. They don't do any marketing, they just have like a small trend growing. So I think what matters for me, and the pitch I usually give to investors, is esports betting right now is so small, but it's going to be very big. There is no reason why esports betting will not be as big as sports betting in the 5, 10, 20 years. So when you look at the growth is right now. The wave is starting right now. So if you want to get involved, this is the best moments, because a lot of bookmakers are doubling the volume every year, and it's just starting.
I have a slightly different approach on this one, because dealing with people that they're putting money for B2C operations and using my platform, I always have to be very open with them. I'm not trying to raise money for investment in order to build an esports company. So the market is there, the revenue is not there yet. That means the revenue will be coming, but also together with the generation shift, as we portrayed here, actually you're onboarding clients that they are on their 20s, 25, but then they're already 10 years into esports. They're going to be, in 10 years, clients that they're going to be playing on your casino or your sports betting. So for me, it's more about embracing and portraying correctly the esports inside your offering, but at the same time, keeping in mind that these customers, they're not going to be 100% esports for all the lifetime value that they stay with you.
So that's a great point. So for the operators and the people involved in making games, et cetera, in the room, you know, it's often said that sportsbook is, you know, a loss leader to get people into casino games and make the real money in casino games. How's that going to manifest itself with the esports side? Will it be different?
In my opinion, it will be completely different, because in the casino game, you have an RNG working on the back. Here, as the guy said, you actually can choose what is going to be the next key, the next object, the next hit, the next tower. So it's completely more engaging for the end user and is more exciting.
I'm optimistic that it will actually be okay. I'm not saying that if you take the slots of today that they're going to work with these audience. They might, I'm not going to say that they are, but there will be the slots of the future that will work with those audience as well, because, you know, I worked at the Stars Group for so long, and there was this general arrogance that poker players are different from degenerate gamblers. There's a skill game, they'll never cross-sell into casino, etc. And then when turn casino on, you know, you're seeing 25 to 50% cross-sell. You know, it's human nature, sadly, to want to degenerately gamble. And I'm not saying that the right fit is there yet, but I think that it will continue to operate like that in the future.
And there is different kind of gambling also in esports. Yeah, we have like skill-based gambling where you're 1 versus 1. There is also streamer-based gambling. There's a lot of new things that will appear in esports betting that are more casino-oriented, but a very different experience.
Cool. And human nature, I completely agree with you. So as we wind down the session, as everyone knows, esports as a category is a big thing, but it's really composed of a whole bunch of silos that are different games that are completely different, have completely different audiences, 100%, just as basketball and football and cricket are totally different. So which is going to be the biggest esports game to take over the betting business? Which game do you give the highest odds to?
I would say it's League of Legends because it's very undervalued right now because the product and the offer is very bad overall. And it's just very interesting to bet on very live-oriented stuff.
I would go for League of Legends as well, but just one point I would like to make, if I may, is that the operators, they need to, how can I put it? They need to actually bring everybody in the same room from eSports and decide what their offering is going to be. And that is going to define actually which product is going to prevail and what is going to go up.
Last word.
We'll go with growth in Asia, so we'll say eSports, League of Legends too.
League of Legends, there we have it. Thank you all for listening. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. Have a great SiGMA, everyone.
Thank you.